Time for another Q&A video. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. You may notice that I just recently already did a Q&A video, but it's because I've been moving, so I kind of fell off my normal cadence of videos, so I'm trying to get back on track. So we're back at it, and if you're new here, I take questions from you guys in the comments of this video to talk about stuff I wouldn't talk about in normal videos. Different games, different topics, movies, whatever. So for the next Q&A video next month, leave your questions in this comment section down below. But let's just jump in. First question is from Mr. Roshinator, who says, do you think Rockstar will ever go back to their smaller and kind of more creative projects? I would kill for follow-ups to Bully, Warriors, LA Noire, or at least something of that scope. Table tennis. First of all, can we acknowledge the fact that Rockstar Games made a game called Table Tennis? I absolutely really want them to go back to these style of games, or at least kind of do like a one for them, one for us type of thing, where they do something absolutely massive and crazy like a Grand Theft Auto, and then do something totally weird. Like, yeah, a Bully 2. I don't even need a sequel to Bully. I just need something with that same mindset, something that kind of rethinks the video game formula, or it's just a completely new setting or style of story that we haven't seen in a game before. And again, the fact that they made a game based on the Warriors is so out of left field and unexpected, and I feel like no other studio would have really done that. I just want to see that line of thinking continue. Things at Rockstar have changed, some leadership has changed, but I hope that storytelling mindset still really shines through, and I hope with that, maybe they'll get a itch to make a weird game again. Who knows? Maybe is Rockstar like too big now? Too big to make something weird? Maybe. But I can only imagine, like, there's got to be some weird alternate reality where they continue to make weird games. So many ideas out there that none of us can even think of. Or maybe a reality where they just made Agent. But at Oyson Pollard 4744 asks, if we ever get a Bioshock 4, where would you like it to go? Back to Rapture, still in Colombia, or somewhere new? So I think that Bioshock is still coming. There has been a new one in the works for many years. It's never really been officially confirmed, but at this point, the rumors and like what I've heard, it is a thing. I think maybe Take-Two or 2K or whatever had mentioned it on an earnings call at some point, but yeah. For me, without Ken Levine, I think it can still go on if the ideas remain. And by that, I mean, for me, it's two things. Well, really three things. Kind of having some sim type gameplay, like a System Shock, like a Deus Ex, and like the original Bioshock for sure. Obviously, Infinite stepped away from that a little bit, but I would like them to go back to that. And then two other things: a high concept idea, or a world built around a theological or political ideology. And then, of course, location. It's all about the setting and the location, man. And I would like to see them tackle some sort of new world built out of a new political, or again, philosophical, theological ideology, and maybe it be in a weird time period, maybe more like squeak it in the middle there, like 30s, 40s, and maybe do like a prohibition mafia gangland style type of thing, but maybe in like a snowy place. I'm spitballing here. Okay, so like maybe either, like we've done the sky, we've done the ocean, maybe we do a series of underground caves, a city built under the earth. That's not as exciting unless somebody comes up with some great visual language for it. I don't know. Or again, like what I kind of just brain farted out. Snow, like, I don't know, like in Antarctica, have a city built at the South Pole or the North Pole. I don't know. I would say that, or completely, like, if you can't come up with a better idea, fuck it. Go back to Rapture. Rapture is still really great. They even did like a spin-off novel, I guess you would call it, just kind of like a story about the events before the original Bioshock that provided some additional context, and it's cool. Like, you don't have to really count it as canon with the game. Like, you can just, but it was a fun little exercise for sure. So I want more Rapture, the Burial at Sea, like we got all that stuff, but a return once again. The location to me is that cool, that creative, that exciting, that I wouldn't mind returning at this point. eWolf YT says, sorry if this is already asked, what are the most painful points of working around the gaming industry that you've experienced? I'm not the type to like sit and complain here about my job. I love what I do. I'd say probably it's like the ire of the internet. Like the gamers, it's not really gamers, it's just the internet. It's social media, it's YouTube comments that just come after you for things. For me, it's really like, it's not necessarily like, oh, you're ugly or oh, you're stupid. It's more of like questioning my intelligence or my integrity or stuff like that really grinds my gears, or just like unhinged bullshit. I'd say that, and it's not really the game industry, it's just the content creator, YouTuber industry. It's the burnout. You're always feeding the machine. You're always working on the next video. You don't really get breaks, so to speak. And then the other thing is not having enough time to play some weird video game that I want to play. I'm always kind of keeping up with the Joneses, checking out the new releases, and I love that. I'm always looking for that next thing. What's next? What's that next thing? What's that thrill? But sometimes I just want to have time to go back and play something stupid. A couple weeks ago, I was sitting there and I was like, I really want to play Rygar on PS2, but I don't have time to do that. And that is my gift. That's my curse. I am reviewer man. Oh, here we go. Obi-Wan Kenobi 969 says, what are the things you dislike about Metal Gear? Oh my God. And if you could choose a dev team to make a new Metal Gear, what dev team do you think can pull it off? Oh boy. So for Metal Gear, let's get a little spicy here. I don't love playing all the Metal Gear games. I know that's insane. It's a video game. This is going to sound so weird and like dumb, and you know what, I don't apologize. I like the story. I love experiencing the Metal Gear games so much. I love Metal Gear Solid from a gameplay perspective, but after that, 2, 3, 4, I don't really enjoy playing through them as much. Obviously, a playthrough is great, but they're not games that I go back and like speed run. Other than the first one, I really revisit the other ones more for the story than for that gameplay. There are Metal Gear fans out there. Like I've seen people who can like, hack and speed run and do crazy shit with Metal Gear 4, Metal Gear Solid 2. And I commend those people. That's awesome. They love those games in a different way than I do. I'm just there for the story, the vibes, the experience. Again, the first Metal Gear Solid is, from a gameplay perspective, I think perfect, watertight. But with 2 and 4, I don't really like playing through them as much. I still like them. I still like playing them. I don't like dislike the gameplay or anything, but like we're looking at it in the perspective of a game series that I've replayed a billion million times. And at this point, there are that's the aspect I'm kind of over. So I guess that's my bias as a fanboy. Hey, now before we keep going, let's talk about learning for a second, because we all have that need for self-improvement. We all think about it. We all want to do it. But as we get busier, as we get older, it's hard to learn new things. But thankfully, today's sponsor, Brilliant, can help with that. When you go to Brilliant.org, there are thousands of lessons, from foundational and advanced math to like AI, data science, and a bunch of other stuff, and they're always consistently adding new lessons monthly. Now, what makes Brilliant great for me is that it's all hands-on. It's all practical learning. You're learning by doing, and Brilliant has really creative ways of walking you through complex processes, explaining them very simply. And so, I've talked about this before, but like I've been taking up learning programming through Brilliant, and they actually explain how coding works through clever games and puzzles. And you can just learn stuff with a couple of minutes each day. And for gamers out there, they add a bunch of cool fun things like XP and these leaderboards called leagues, so you can keep track of your progress and get a little competitive. So working through lessons can actually be pretty satisfying. And since it's brief, you can do it anytime, anywhere. I've got it on my phone right now. I'm working through it. So check it out. Start your 30-day free trial by clicking the link in the description down below or heading to brilliant.org/onjake. The first 200 people will get 20% off their annual subscription. That's a pretty good deal. Knowledge is power. Brilliant.org/onjake, and big thanks to them for sponsoring this video. Now let's get back into it. Umberto641 says, how do you feel about so many game series installments releasing increasingly apart from each other? Like, say, The Elder Scrolls 6 feels like it's going to release 20 years after Skyrim. Good. I don't care. Take as long as you want. And I don't just say that in terms of like quality, like, oh, I don't want the game to be rushed. I want it to be good. But I think when a game is so good, when it is something as monolithic as something like Skyrim, I think that it can have the legs to last a really long time. People laugh that like Skyrim's been ported to a million things, but they wouldn't be doing it if people wouldn't be buying it. People want to continue to revisit that world and experience that. And when a game has that much life in it, and I don't even mean in terms of sales and platform ports, but in terms of just what it is, then I don't mind waiting. Grand Theft Auto 5, is a big, massive thing, even if I'm not a GTA Online player, but just to see it grow and flourish and become all these weird things for so many years, I can live with that and wait until the next big thing, Grand Theft Auto 6, whenever that may be, because I hope that is also the next jump forward. Granted, there are other types of games that are to the complete opposite and are constantly churning out new ones, and I think those can be great. Those can be absolutely excellent, but they don't always necessarily have the cultural impact or the lasting brain space impact that some of the longer term things have. So I think that's important for some games to still have that big length sometimes, because it's everything. It's the quality of it, it's the anticipation of it, it's the cultural impact, all that. Elder has a great question. He asks, I've recently replayed Phantom Pain and Chaos Theory back to back, and I gotta say, if we could get a game that incorporates the hyper-realism of Chaos Theory with Phantom Pain mechanics, I think it would make for a refreshing take on the genre. If you could make a stealth game, what core mechanics or wild creative antics would you want implemented? So for me, I think, honestly, it's funny you bring up Chaos Theory, and really Splinter Cell, the original Splinter Cell, Pandora Tomorrow, Chaos Theory. What I would like from a stealth game really is control of a room. That sounds really simple, but I don't necessarily always need a massive sandbox stealth area. I sometimes like the power fantasy of being able to control a room to my whim. I mean, you can even like the Arkham games, when you're up on a perch and you're scanning things, you're disabling enemy weapons, you're jumping around, you're turning things off, you're scaring enemies. But the original Splinter Cell games, creeping around, turning off lights, shooting out light bulbs, transforming the room, transforming the space, creating a stealth space for yourself, masking sound to get around, turning things on, turning things off. I really like that. It kind of feels like a cool level of interaction with the environment that actually encourages and enhances the gameplay. This Atticus says, speaking of collectathons, which I talked about in the last video I talked about a lot of old games, and a lot of you guys responded really well to me talking about 007 Everything or Nothing. Thank you. I'm definitely really actually going to make a video about that game on some point. I made sure to write it down. But this Atticus says, speaking of collectathons, did you ever play Croc 2 Legend of the Gobos back in the day? Game went hard. I did not, but I played the original Croc, and that went hard. And I was weirdly obsessed with that game. I was also old enough where I was like, this is kind of a game for babies. Like, this is just like a little critter guy, but I still played the hell out of it. It also was at that time where it was like 3D platformers, but lo-fi graphics. So like some elements of the game were kind of like weird and creepy and just downright strange. And Croc was just such a weird thing. Like, how do you explain Croc to somebody in 2023? It's like the meme where it's like, I used to play a game where I was like a little green lizard guy jumping around, and it was great. And it's like, that's okay, Grandma, you go to bed. Like, you just had to be there with something like Croc. Andreas Acosta 977 says, Jake, do you refrigerate your ketchup, and did you like Suda 51? Okay, yeah, let's get personal for a second, because I never really do too much. Ketchup. I really like ketchup. I do refrigerate my ketchup. And ketchup is my one weird thing, like my one weird splurge, my guilty pleasure. I like those like organic ketchups, like those like artisan ketchups that are I know that's like so insufferable of me, but there's something about different ketchups other than the mainstream American Heinz brand that has like a good texture and quality and almost like a little extra saltiness to it that I really like. I never thought I'd get this in depth about ketchup ever in my life, but no one else wants to hear it, so thank you for listening. The other part of the question, Suda51, I actually met. An incredible gentleman. Love his creativity. He was actually one of the first people I was able to speak with through a translator. And I loved it. It was so cool. He was so cool. The translator was great. We were able to convey our emotions, and it was just a nice experience. And yeah, just a positive experience in my random adventures. Switz, always with the hard-hitting question, says, what do you see the broader conversation around people reviewing games moving in the future? As a kind of tastemaker with Before You Buy, do you try to implement any review practices that you hope to see others take up? Not really. I think that everybody has different takes, different ways of evaluating, talking about games, and that's important. There are people who like the utilitarian aspects of game reviews where it's like, is the sound good? Is the graphics good? Does it work? How long is it? There are other people that are like, how fun is it? How are the RPG mechanics well thought out? Is there a compelling narrative here? Are like there's all these different ways to approach it. So I think no game review can be completely complete, so to speak. I think everybody has their own, opinions and expressions, and I like that. For me, I think if anybody can take away from me is like what you mentioned. Like I do talk about fun factor. That's always something I like to try and dig at. So for me, it's that, and not using review scores. I don't like review scores, and I also don't like rigidity. There are people out there who are like, all right, I'm breaking down the hours, I'm breaking down the sound design, I'm breaking down the controls. Like, I like that people do that. That's not necessarily what I do. I like free-form, free-flowing, conversational type criticism, first impressions, expressions, stuff like that. Also, in terms of the conversation around how people review games in the future, I think the written word still needs to be important. And I've seen colleagues and people in the industry adjacent to me have more and more issue getting paid to write interesting, compelling critiques, criticism, stuff like that. Like, the more highbrow, intelligent stuff. I think those perspectives are just as valuable, even if not necessarily like I'm reading them every day and I know they're not like mainstream. I think interesting insights into games should exist, and I think people who are talented enough to write about them should be able to find gigs for those sometimes. But things are changing. The game's criticism, especially the written word, is definitely changing. So I don't know where things are going to go, but I try to value it. I try to seek it out and read it. I love long form takes about games and stuff. So maybe I'm part of the problem as just like a dirty YouTuber talking about games, and nobody's reading articles anymore. I don't know. I have to grapple with that. I'm like Oppenheimer. I'm like, what have I done? I don't know. But like one thing I guess I can get better about is sharing stuff that I found interesting that I read. So I'm going to try and do that. Jacob Jacques 1961 says, hey, with John Carpenter's Toxic Commandos on the way, what other film directors do you think should collaborate on or direct a video game? Easy answer for me, even if it's like the basic boy answer. I know there's some brilliant, smaller, even auteur directors out there. The style of Wes Anderson could be for a cool video game. But ultimately, I root for Steven Spielberg. He doesn't need anybody to root for him at this point, but Steven Spielberg is a certified capital G gamer. From the early days, he is documented as playing video games. He has written things about video games and in video game books. He has dabbled in video game stuff, point and click adventures back in the day. He also spearheaded Medal of Honor, and as far as I'm concerned, that was like where we first got a taste of Michael Giacchino as well, famed movie composer now. So he's had fingerprints in games throughout history. Boom Blocks, that was him. Like, he came up with the design for that. Didn't like blow the world away or anything, but I like him choosing a different pursuit. And there was a project a couple of years ago, but nothing really ever came of it. And there's other people that talk a big game with like video games and stuff, like J.J. Abrams and stuff, but like I think Spielberg is the one to actually like sometimes kind of do it, and I want to see him go back into it one more time and just really go full bore into it, because I love Spielberg movies. I mean, who doesn't? I love his sense of adventure, the whimsy, but I also like the way he does completely different types of movies. So yeah, Spielberg, get back into games. Call me. All right, you'll never call me. But seriously, somebody please make that happen. Get him into games again. But that was a Q&A video. I got to go home and continue to unpack. I'm going to be doing that for a while. But got a lot of interesting projects on the horizon, stuff, types of videos. Also, game releases are starting to ramp up again, so keep your eyes peeled. But thank you guys for being here for this entire video, listening to me ramble about stuff. Thank you for your questions, because I get to talk about so much more than usual, and it's nice to kind of pull random things out of my brain. So thank you for allowing me the ability to do that. But if you like what I'm doing here on this channel, I'm just talking about stuff I love, man. Clicking the like button helps me out. Thank you. But I'm Jake Baldino. Thank you guys very much for watching. Subscribe, because video games, pizza's on me.